Welcome to Campfire Stories.
Pull your chair a little closer tonight, friends. It's that kind of story. I'm Marty Shepherd, and welcome to the fire. Tonight we're going somewhere cold, somewhere remote, somewhere the Atlantic Ocean doesn't just visit, it arrives.
And I've already got my blanket. I looked this one up after Marty mentioned it at dinner, and I went to bed at 9:30 and still didn't sleep.
The Flannan Isles are a small cluster of rocks about 20 miles west of the Outer Hebrides, off the northwest coast of Scotland. They're not islands in any welcoming sense, they're just stone that the sea hasn't finished arguing with yet. The lighthouse there was brand new in 1900, built at enormous effort and expense, because that stretch of water had been swallowing ships for centuries.
I keep picturing the men who built it, hauling all that stone up a cliff in a Scottish gale. You'd have to want to save lives very badly to do that.
In the autumn of that year, 3 keepers were assigned to the Flannan Light. James Ducat was the principal keeper, experienced, steady, the kind of man you'd want in charge of anything that mattered. Thomas Marshall was his assistant. And Donald MacArthur was filling in, a last-minute substitute, which is a detail that has haunted people ever since, because he wasn't even supposed to be there.
That's the detail that got me. He was standing in for someone else. That unnamed someone else went home that fall and never knew.
On December 26, 1900, the relief vessel Hesperus made its scheduled approach to the island. The first sign something was wrong was simple. The light wasn't lit. It had been dark for 11 days. The captain signaled the island, no response. He sent a rowboat to the landing. No one came to meet it.
11 days. Ships would have been passing in the dark for 11 nights.
When the relief keeper Joseph Moore climbed to the lighthouse, he found the door unlocked. Inside, the kitchen table held the remains of a meal, a chair knocked back from the table, an overturned cup. The clock on the wall had stopped, and hanging on its peg by the door, one oilskin coat. 2 keepers' coats were gone. One was still there.
That coat. That is the thing. In a North Atlantic December, you don't leave without your coat. You just don't.
Moore went through the log. The last entry was December 15th, 11 days prior. But the entries in those final days were unlike anything in the official record of lighthouse keeping. Marshall, the assistant, had written that the storm was the worst he had ever seen. He wrote that Ducat, the calm, unshakable principal keeper, had been weeping. That MacArthur, described by everyone who knew him as a hard, tough man, had been on his knees praying.
Experienced lighthouse keepers don't write things like that. You'd have to be seeing something extraordinary to put it in the log and not worry what your superiors would think.
The official inquiry looked at every explanation. They landed on the theory that the men had gone down to the West Landing to check on equipment damaged by the storm, that a rogue wave, what sailors sometimes called a freak sea, had taken 2 of them, and that the third had gone back for help or to sea and been taken by a second wave. It was and remains the official explanation.
Which I respect and do not entirely believe, and I think most people sitting around a campfire feel the same way.
Here's what makes it hard to fully accept. The West Landing, the area most exposed, where the theory places them, showed damage consistent with heavy seas, yes. But the East Landing, the sheltered one, showed damage too. And the big iron box used to store mooring ropes had been moved some distance from where it was kept, which would have taken multiple men and considerable effort. Someone had been working hard, in what must have been terrifying conditions before whatever happened.
They were doing their jobs. Right up until the end, they were doing their jobs. I find that both very brave and very sad.
The lighthouse, and this is the part I keep coming back to, was in perfect order. The lamp was cleaned. The oil was trimmed. The lens had been prepared. Everything was ready to light. These three men had done all the work of keeping the light right up to the moment they were gone, and then the light went dark anyway for 11 days while ships passed in the dark.
You know what that reminds me of? That moment near the end of I Know Where I'm Going, the Powell and Pressburger film, where all this human effort is bent towards something, and the sea just quietly decides otherwise. Some forces don't negotiate.
Carol took that film studies class to heart and never gave it back.
I took notes. You drew little pictures of Howard Hawks in the margins of your notebook. Don't pretend you were the serious one.
The Flannan Isles mystery has been argued over for 125 years. There are wilder theories, sea creatures which I will not dignify, and foreign spies which I find equally hard to credit, but mostly people keep returning to the same three names, the same kitchen table, the same coat on the peg, and they can't let go. I think it's because we know these were real men. James Ducat had a wife and 4 children in Bunasan. Thomas Marshall was 28 years old. Donald MacArthur was standing in for someone else.
Someone went home that fall not knowing that someone else took his place and didn't come back. I genuinely hope that person never put those two facts together. Some knowledge is just a weight you didn't need to carry.
What the Flannan Isles story asks, I think, is the same thing the sea has always asked of people who work near it. How much do you trust the ground under your feet? Those men knew that coast, knew that light, knew those landings. And on some December night in 1900, something happened that they did not know how to survive, and the record ends. The log stops. The coat stays on its peg. And the light that they had given everything to maintain goes dark.
What I keep thinking about is that they were doing it for the people on the ships. Men they'd never meet in the dark at sea. There's something quietly noble about a job like that. Quietly noble and very, very cold.
The Flannan light still operates today, automated now, no keepers needed. It flashes every 6 seconds, every night, over those same black rocks and that same arguing sea. It's one of those places that doesn't require a ghost story, because the real story already has everything a ghost story needs, and the grace to leave the ending unwritten. Some things shouldn't be explained. Some things just remind you how small the light is and how large the dark. I'm Marty Shepherd.
Sleep warm tonight, friends. And if you're ever near the Hebrides, maybe don't stand too close to the cliff edge.
Just from me.
Sleep warm.